Hello everyone. As many of you already know, and by many I mean 3 or 4 listeners and the cat, who listen to me talk about stuff on this channel. As you know, I'm in contact with wonderful, bright, insightful, intelligent people with whom I can talk about the many insanities one faces living in this place people like to call Earth. And so sometimes subjects come up due to normal life events, such as marketing emails. A wonderful person I know received an email and forwarded it to me. And that thing is just a goldmine of communication and linguistic trickery. Propaganda, in essence, so cleverly disguised, it could be a magic spell written by a minor mythological figure. So, I will go through the email. I have my notes. Can you hear them? And I have a plethora of tabs open on my internet browser. And I will try to show, using this email as an example, how a bunch of essentially performance artists live off others who they trick by the means of language. They trick people in becoming their voluntary sponsors for a bad performance act. A badly written script with bad actors and so cleverly disguised as enhanced reality that then people gather together around them and pay them money, good money, for them to put on this bad, very bad show. No one would pay money to see these people if they were honest about what they are doing, which is a performance act or a piece of writing, fiction. Okay, no one would buy that. No one would buy tickets to go see that bad a show. But as they present it as reality, then people are tricked into sitting in auditoriums and listening to these bad actors delivering their bad script. And furthermore, they sign up for further performances and content like books or, I don't know, magazines, all sorts of writing or videos of people that otherwise, as actors or screenwriters, would be out of a job, or playwrights. They wouldn't be able to sell their stories. Anyway, so yeah, in one single marketing email, there is so much good material that can be used to find out how these tricks are played. And this is why I will go through it. I will read the email to you, and then I will make an honest attempt at showing what is being done through the means of language. I imagine there will be some interesting tangents. There's a lot of interesting stuff that can be said about it. It's too much, really. I have made notes not to remember things, but to cut out things, because the first draft I had was so long, no one would listen to it. And also, I don't want to talk about this for hours on end. I just want to go through the email once and talk about the most interesting parts. Okay, so yeah. There will be probably some interesting tangents we'll find out together. Later on, I will try to put in some timestamps to make it easier to hop around on the subjects covered, because I really don't know how messy this will get. I will try to go through it in a straightforward way, but sometimes one can't really plan without it becoming stiff and boring. And I don't want it to be boring. I want it to be pleasurable to listen to. So I will just go through the notes and through the email and try to do a good job in showing you what is being done to you people by linguistic trickery. Okay. Now, before I start, I want again to put in my disclaimer. If you are a regular listener, or the cat won't mind. I know the cat. But if you are a regular listener, I have to put in this disclaimer. Otherwise, if someone new comes to this channel by any chance at all, and I don't put in the disclaimer, then they might think erroneously that I agree with a lot of stuff that I'm saying. So I need to put this in. Here it goes. I do not subscribe to any beliefs or ideologies, not even information that is said to be historical or supposedly common knowledge. I firmly stand on I don't know anything that I haven't been able to personally verify. Still, in order to be able to talk about the subjects at hand, I will be using information that is presented to us. And by us, I mean human beings. All of humanity, not one group or other group, all of us. And the same applies when I say we. We is an amorphous term that can mean 2 people, 3 people, this group, that group. When I say we, again, it's all of us, human beings that roam this crazy place. So I will be using the information that is made available to us, that is presented to us as truth or as common knowledge or whatever, or history, to make some of my points, even if I do not necessarily agree with the information, okay? Even if I abhor the information or doubt it. I have to use what is out there, as this is all we've got. Okay, so let's start. The email in question was sent by a place called Rudolf Steiner House. I won't go into Rudolf Steiner. I never had much interest in his philosophy because I was the victim of his school system for a while. And I was overjoyed to be out of that madhouse after spending some years in there. Even regular schooling seemed like a vacation after that incoherent circus. So I won't go into that. I have a lot to say about education, school systems and such, but it's not the time right now. Still, I will leave you a link in the description so you can verify for yourself how crazy this Steiner character really was. Again, I'm not even saying that this person existed as we are told, that he was what we are told he was, that he did or thought or whatever, what is said that he did, thought, and whatever. But I think it's important for people to look sometimes into these big names that are thrown at us as if they were some kind of guru or wonderful people that lived in the past and that we should follow as an example. It's important to go after the writings or videos or whatever, if they exist, right? Because you have to see for yourself what that thing is all about and not swallow just the good bits, right, from some philosopher. And by the way, I have zero problems with crazy individuals or crazy ideas for that matter. I think it's normal. Some people have crazy ideas and then they put these crazy ideas out there and then another person picks them up, thinks about them, and then comes up with another crazy idea, and so on, until someone stumbles upon something useful. So I don't mind crazy people and crazy ideas and preposterous theories. I'm all fine with that. I just don't think one should adopt the theory or ideas of another without critical thinking, real critical thinking, meaning you go through their ideas and you evaluate them through your own being, not as if they were some kind of authority, but as if they were, which they are, just a human being exactly like you and me that had some ideas that they wanted to put out there, which is fine, Okay, let's say you know people that like to follow others, or even if you are someone who would like to absorb and test out some theory from someone that is not you. Okay. So my whole point here is, if anyone wants to follow another person's ideas, which I don't recommend at all, but if so, then the person who is following the ideas of another, I feel, should at least get acquainted with the good and the bad stuff. So let's say you or someone you know thinks that Rudolf Steiner is a wonderful person with wonderful ideas because they heard only the good bits. There are good bits, right? No person is all bad or all good. Okay, so, and let's say then this person or you want to follow anthroposophy because it seems like such a good idea. Okay, then. If you want to be a follower of someone, or someone you know wants to do that, which again, I don't recommend at all, you should be your own authority, okay? But if you decide to follow some kind of ideology, then at least get acquainted with the good and the bad stuff that your current guru or authority has put out. And I'll tell you why. Someday, you might be asked to defend your servitude to another's authority. And these, the bad ideas of your chosen leader, are the ones that will be thrown in your face and that you will have to defend. So I think at least if you are surrendering your sovereignty to another person's mind, then get acquainted with all their work so that you can defend it, defend the bad bits, because these are the ones that will be thrown in your face. Of course, I'm not recommending this. I recommend self-sovereignty, following your own mind and your own ideas, starting from scratch, standing firmly on the unknown until you verify any information for yourself, figure out that it is true, and then you'll have a solid ground to stand on. Or if you find that the information is untrue, you have also as solid a ground as truth, because the truth you found is that one information you went after is a lie, and you know that. So this is as good as it gets in this place. No one will show you the way. Truth can't be gifted to you. You have to go after it yourself. So this is my recommendation. Get a big shovel, go out there and start shoveling BS until you get to truth on your own terms. But if you are still in that place that you want to follow another, then please at least know your heroes thoroughly. Don't just go about picking and choosing the good bits and then get floored by any person that will go after the flaws and will then throw those in your face and destroy anything you're thinking. Okay? Okay. Here is another reason why I strongly recommend self-sovereignty. Building up your ideas, principles, morality, everything from scratch. You will have some bad ideas. We are human beings. We will be wrong. Okay? It's normal. Sometimes you will have to be wrong a million ways until you get to one single tiny flimsy truth. And that's fine. That's fine. Okay? And let's say you have some mental concept, right? And it is wrong. It is wrong. You're just wrong. Okay. Then someone, hopefully, if you're lucky, someone will say to you, listen, this is completely wrong. This is stupid. What you're saying is stupid. Okay? Then you will feel bad. Okay? But since you put up that idea, since you created that mental structure, if someone says to you, you were wrong, you can revise it. And if you're right and the person is wrong, you will be able to defend your reasoning, because that idea you have wasn't just swallowed from the outside. You build it up. And so you know your reasoning, and you will be able to point the reasoning out and defend your idea thoroughly. Or if your idea is not a good one, if you were wrong in your reasoning, then you can just revise it and change your mind and come to a better understanding. So it's never a loss. Even if you go through the painful experience of someone getting in your face and telling you that your idea is stupid and wrong, either the person is wrong and you will have a chance to go through your reasoning and confirm that it is a good idea, or you will face the fact that it was a bad idea, and you will be able to revise it and come to a better understanding. So there is no loss. Anyway, this is one more reason to just choose to be a sovereign being, which you are. Which you are. There is no escape from that. You are a sovereign being. Even if you choose to follow another person's mind, you're choosing that of your own volition. You choose to adopt external ideas because you want to. No one is making you think anything. So anyway, I recommend getting to grips with your sovereignty and just acting from there, right? From your core. You don't need any other authority over yourself than the one you've already got, which is you. It's the best one. Okay, I'll stop talking about self-sovereignty now. I'll just say one more thing. If you have a bad idea, I already said that, okay? But if you have a bad idea, you can always change your mind. You can simply recognize your mistake, your error in judgment, and change. If you adopt another person's thinking, or if you buy into an ideology or a religion or whatever, which is also just an ideology, okay? There is no special knowledge or occult knowledge or any of that crap. Any of that. It's just words and songs and essentially art. And then people get so entranced by these things that they buy into it, into ideologies and beliefs and so on. Anyway, you can revise your thinking, but if you buy into a fixed mindset, right, a fixed structure that is just presented to you and said, okay, this is the truth, so you swallow it whole, that whole mental structure, then once this ideology captured your mind, if you start to see cracks in it, or someone points out that the ideology is wrong, you will either need to contort your thinking or give up on the ideology altogether. There's no way out. Either you start apologizing on behalf of your ideology, or you just give it up. So to save time, don't buy into any ideology or beliefs. Just develop your own thoughts dynamically and you'll be fine. Okay? I told you I wouldn't talk about Steiner, and I didn't, right? I just put some links in the description for you to see how crazy this guy was. But I talked about a bunch of stuff. As promised, tangents. Now let's talk about the content of the email. Before I start reading the contents of the email to you and going through it to show the linguistic trickery that's going on, I want to talk about the names that will be mentioned in this email. The purpose of the email is to get people to come see a lecture, a show, a monologue of some sort. This lecture is called the Inaugural Rosemary Beckler Memorial Lecture, given by some guy named Neil Lawson, allegedly an executive director of the Good Society pressure group Compass. So a lot of credentials that don't mean anything. I mean, being the executive director of a group, a theater group essentially, that gives lectures and talks and makes monologues, right? I know they want to sell it as some sort of organization that will do important things in society. But I will get into these names and even into the meaning of society so that you can see that all of this is actually just a show. It's theater. These people are a theater company disguised as some political group, a gathering of people that will put pressure somewhere. And they have these very interesting names. This is obviously a quirk of mine, but I went after the meaning of the names. Okay, so we have this Rosemary Beckler, and I went to see who she was. And she was allegedly, I haven't verified it for myself, okay, this is just information of a website. She was a member of the World Forum for Democracy. Okay. And she was a writer, a journalist, and an editor of Open Democracy. I want to point out that writer, journalist, and editor is essentially writing. She's a writer, okay? She's nothing more than a writer. If this person is who they say she is, at best, she's a writer. Not special, not more special than you or me. She sat down and wrote stuff. This is all she did. So, artist, okay? She's an artist. Which is not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. But it's not someone who can tell you what to do with your life. She's not an authority. She just writes stuff, okay? And then I went to see what her name means. And Rosemary, let me see here. Rosemary is obviously an aromatic shrub, right? It's something you use to cook. It's a herb. But it is also an emblem of remembrance. It's a symbol of remembrance. And so when they say that it is a memorial lecture of this Rosemary person, it kind of strikes me as odd that her name means remembrance. And then there is also this other guy that is called Neil Lawson. My ears always go like ding when someone is called Neil, because it sounds like new, right? It's a new thing. It's something that wasn't there before. So it's made out to be a good thing. It's new. Who doesn't like new things? And then his last name is Lawson, the son of law. So it's a new law. And what does this guy do? He has a mess of credentials. Let me see here. I will read the credentials that are written on this email of this Neil Lawson person. Okay. Neil is executive director of the Good Society pressure group Compass and was author of All Consuming, a book, and co-editor of The Progressive Century. He serves on the advisory board of the social democracy journal Renewal, which he helped found. Is an advisor to public ownership campaigners We Own It, a commissioner for a gender equal economy, and a senior fellow at Radix. He writes about politics, democracy, and societal transformation on sites such as The Guardian, New Statesman, and Prospect magazine. Are you impressed? I'm not. The guy's a writer. He's a journalist. Same thing as this Rosemary person. They are writers. This is all they do. Which is, again, not a bad thing to be. But it's not impressive. They don't know more than you or me. They are writers. And fine, it's great that people are out there and writing and talking about stuff. Okay, I enjoy art. I like art. It's great. But they are not authorities on what a good society is. Or they are not leaders. No one is a leader. No one. This may come as a shock to you, but not one person on this thing we live on called Earth by some people is a leader. All you have are people that like to follow others. No one is leading anything. But there are people who follow others, who copy others. And so these people that are being followed are called leaders, but they can't make anything happen. They depend on their followers to be a leader. The followers have all the power. They can choose to follow or not. The person that is being followed can't do anything. They can't force anyone to follow them. So they are not leaders. They may be very interesting people and even worth listening to and considering their ideas, but there are no such things as leaders. If you would have someone who could make others follow them, that wouldn't be a leader, that would be a tyrant. Okay? So either you have tyrant, leader, or person, normal person, regular person, who maybe or not kind of interesting and who people choose, sovereign people choose to follow. Okay. So this Lawson person and this Rosemary person both have websites dedicated to their ideas. This Rosemary has a website that promotes her ideas, and the website is called DM25. I won't put these links of these people in the description because I don't want to promote them. I don't want to promote them or their bad ideas, and so no links for them, sorry. If you want, you can always Google them. It's a waste of time. I did Google them, so I can attest. It is a complete waste of time. It's all nonsense. It's all a ridiculous, bad writing and bad performance art show, not worth of anyone's time or money. But I will tell you what happens on these websites. These websites are traps. Human traps. You know, like bear traps or fishnets. Better yet, fishnets. They are like fishnets. They are just there in the sea of people called the internet. And they're trying to gather followers. They are trying to gather people so that they can earn money for writing bad copy. This is it. Okay, this is the whole deal of these places. They just want to write about things and have a captive audience. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? What artist wouldn't want that? Okay, so you go to these sites and they start their donations at 5 euros and it goes up to 100 euros or more if you're generous, right? And you're completely deranged by their ideology, then you may want to give more. Give everything, sell your house. Just give everything to them so they can then make the dream of a good society come true for you. Then this Lawson person is then talked about in this Compass website. And the Compass website is so ridiculous, but I will read it to you. So this website has written in big letters, "We fight for a more equal, democratic, and sustainable society." These people clearly didn't know Rudolf Steiner. Rudolf Steiner didn't want any of this. But okay, I won't go into Rudolf Steiner. These people are clearly a spin-off of the United Nations entertainment company. They are just picking up the script from the United Nations and building a website and getting their own little show going. So they will talk endlessly about things no one is interested in, boring stuff that we have heard for a million times now, and that won't solve anything. Okay, and if you go to this website, which I don't recommend, really, I don't, just stay out of these places. They are not good for you. They will write something like this on this website. "Today, we look to where the real energy and creativity is. We see emerging collaborative practice bubbling up in civil society, the social economy, and in the local state. Our task now is to join all of this up, to amplify, aggregate, and accelerate the desire and demand for participation we all want and all feel in our increasingly networked society." I will read one tiny bit again. "Today we look to where the real energy and creativity is. We see emerging collaborative practice bubbling up in civil society." This is the absolute truth. Regular people going about their lives are all there is. All there is are you guys and me and the cat. We are the real beings. We can do stuff. We can follow people and then turn them into leaders. That's why they come to us. That's why they do all these websites and lectures and shows, because they want to live off us, because we have all the power, because we are sovereign individuals. So they throw their net to gather individuals up, turn them into a collective that then sustain them, these artists. Okay, so this is the truth, right? This is the truth. The real energy and creativity is in normal, regular, wonderful, beautiful people such as you. You are the bee's knees. Everyone wants a piece of you because you're free. Because you're free and sovereign. Okay. I hope this is good. I hope you feel better about yourself already. Okay, before I go back to the email, I will talk to you about what society means. And this I will put in the description, this link of the etymology of society. The original meaning of society is companionship and friendly association with others. It comes from an old French word that means company, and from Latin societatem, fellowship, association, alliance, union, and community. Companion, right? A friend, an ally, a friend. So society isn't this thing, this strange organization of people into roles that are being pushed onto us. Society literally means friends. A normal, healthy, regular human being has friends, makes friends, is friendly. And these performance artists, they know this. Tech companies figure this out also. That's why we now have social media. They realized that people have friends. Normal, regular people that go about their lives, they have friends. And, and these associations are a huge asset to people who want to extract money. Because if you like some place or some idea, then you obviously want to bring your friends and your family and all the people associated to you into that reality, into that fold. And these people figure this out. If they can grab one person, that person will then gather others for them. Churches did this since forever. So political parties and these action groups or whatever, they will all try to do this because, again, there is nothing else. There is just us, human beings. Human beings, this is all there is. Everything you see, society and movements and religions and whatever, companies, everything you see that pertains to the human way of life is sustained by individuals, regular people, human beings like you or me. So this is the other bit of important information, that all programs, government programs, religions, schooling, companies, environmental movements, everything, these are programs. These are ideas, ideologies, programs that are put out there. They are built up by language and presented to human beings, to large groups of human beings through media or performances or props like books and pamphlets, videos and such, right? So that human beings can get invested in them and then gather together and sustain these structures. Every structure you see out there is a program, is a mental, conceptual thing that runs in people's minds and makes them agree to behave in a certain way. So you could look at this place, Earth, like the largest supercomputer ever. It's a big motherboard filled with these electric particles running about. This is us. Energy. The guy said it. It's energy and creativity. This is us, right? We're running around. And so these people who invent these programs, these structures of society, they then run these programs on people. Exactly like you, when you click twice on a little icon in your computer and you run a program on electricity, these people, they use language and props and art and whatever to run programs on human beings' minds. If they get a large group to agree to some mental concept, to some ideology or religion or governmental structure, then they can run that program and benefit from it. And you are the electricity. You are then, if you're captured by these programs, you are then sustaining that. They tell you it's for you. As these people from this open society thing tell you. They tell you to join Compass for a good society. And they don't even lie to you, because under this plea to join Compass for a good society, they tell you members drive Compass. So they know what they're doing, and they're telling you, and this is the way they won't feel guilty, because they are telling you, listen, come join us, come join our program, our mental program. We'll tell you things and you'll agree, and then you will give us your time and your money, and you will drive this whole operation, and we will sit back in our private islands on our private yachts having parties on your money. This is it. This is the whole trick. This is the whole thing. There is nothing behind these curtains. There's nothing there. None of this, what they are talking about, is real. Okay, so now I will go back to the email, because now that you know who these people are, they are artists, right? They are writers and performance artists and actors, and they just want you to join their club or their circus to give them money, and so they can then live off your money and your time, right? I will now start reading the email. Okay. Dear friends, at the start of 2024, we are delighted to be hosting the inaugural Rosemary Beckler Memorial Lecture given by Neil Lawson, Executive Director of the Good Society Pressure Group, Compass. The question he will address is, in all the bleakness of our age, where is and what is hope? So, okay, the first sentence is a beauty of a sentence. It immediately makes you feel bad, because look at this juxtaposition of words. We are delighted to be hosting, so you get a little high, a little emotional high, the inaugural Rosemary Beckler Memorial Lecture, and then you're thrown down in your emotions. Can you feel it? I will read it again so you can feel that, okay? We are delighted to be hosting the inaugural Rosemary Beckler Memorial Lecture. Can you see what they did? They just made you feel a little bit of happiness there, a good feeling, and then they crushed it with the memorial stuff. So you just got happy about death of someone. You might think this isn't what they are doing, but it is, because this is a way you short circuit a person's emotional balance. If you doubt what I'm saying, then please go to YouTube channels or websites of horrible people, of pickup artists that want to show their tricks to other guys or girls, that want to trick people into liking them. This is one of the most used techniques to break someone right at the beginning. Make them feel a high, then a low, then a high, then a low, then a high, then a low, and then your emotions just break down. You can't stand that fluctuation for too long. It makes you mad emotionally. And this is why people do this. Okay. Remember the sentence right after the first one that talked about the memorial and the society pressure group? They said this. The question this Neil Lawson will address is, in all the bleakness of our age, where is and what is hope? Again, the same trick is played now in reverse. In the first sentence, they said they were delighted to hold a memorial lecture. And so they gave you a high and then a low and short-circuited your emotional well-being. In the second sentence, they do the opposite. They say, in all the bleakness of our age, so it's a low, where is and what is hope? And they put this hope in there. So if you read the two sentences, emotionally speaking, it goes like this. A high, a low, even lower, bleakness, and then hope. So they put you up there with delighted. And then they say memorial, and you have a little drop in your emotional state. And then they tell you you're living in an age that is bleak. And so you're now way down there. But they anchored you first in delighted. So you want to go back to delighted. You don't want to stay in bleak. You want to go back to delighted. And so what do? They now put the bait on the hook. And they say, where is and what is hope? So now you're sitting there in that dark pit, in that bleak spot of your age that you're living and that you now have been told is horrible. And now you're ready to take the bait. And so they insert this hook in there of hope with a question mark, which oddly is shaped like a hook, right? Okay, they put this question mark in there and I ask you, where is and what is hope? And now you want to know. Now you want to know. You're gripped because you were fine, then you were delighted, then you were sad because someone died, and then you were made aware that your age is bleak, and now you don't want to stay there. You want to go back to at least normal, right? And so they hook you there. And then to hold you, they put in these words, and I want you to really go into them. In all the bleakness of our age, where is and what is hope? Not hope as wishful thinking, but realistic hope, which incidentally is an oxymoron, right? There is no realistic hope. If it's realistic, you don't need hope, right? If you go play the lottery and you may win $100, then you have to hope to win the lottery. But if you're hired to do a job for $100, which is realistic, then you don't need hope. You will get your $100. You worked, you get paid, it's all very normal, no hope needed, okay, no magic. But they are selling realistic hope, which is an oxymoron, grounded in ideas and in practice. So they will provide the ideas and then you will have to do all the work. This is how it goes. They go on. And if we find it, what do we then do with it? So now it's already we. You're already in the group. If you read until that point, then you're already family. If you agree that we are in a horrible place, bleak age, whatever, we all want to kill ourselves now, then then now you're already in that group, you're already part of we, and now what do we do? What do we do? Okay, then they say this, if the human condition is ground down, that condition can do nothing but fight back, finding the cracks and the spaces in which to be as human as possible. This sentence does this. You already agreed you're in a bleak age, and then you took the bait, you were hooked into trying to find out what you can do. And then they sold you realistic hope. So that's good, right? It's realistic. So maybe it will come true. Okay. And then you're already enmeshed with their group now. You are already part of we. And then they go on saying to you that the human condition is ground down. You're a human. You don't want to be ground down. And to not be too blatant, they tell you this. If the condition is ground down, then the condition can do nothing but fight back. Okay. Condition is not a living being. Condition can't fight anything. Okay? It's not a living being. It can't do anything of its own volition. But now that you're captured, if you got captured by these words, then now you are embodying this human being that is ground down, which you're not. You're fine. You were fine 5 minutes ago when this stupid email arrived and started to make you crazy. And then they tell you, you will have to find the cracks and the spaces in which to be as human as possible. And with that sentence, they tell you, you are a human being and you can't be human. You can't, because this age is so bleak. Okay, continuing. Shafts of hope can suddenly go off like fireworks that momentarily and beautifully illuminate the darkness. They show us what might be possible, but all too often they fade just as fast and leave us back in the dark and without direction. Now I'm certain you saw the trick. What did they do? Shafts of hope can suddenly go off like fireworks that momentarily and beautifully illuminate the darkness. Observe what happens in your minds. You saw fireworks go off in your mind's eye. And you felt that tiny happiness that comes with all celebrations that go with fireworks. After this, they immediately do the opposite again. They say these fireworks that beautifully illuminate the darkness and show us what might be possible, that they all too often fade just as fast and leave us back in the dark and without direction. So they throw you again into that bleak age where you can't be human. Well, it's horrible. They are telling you over and over that it's horrible, but they do it through language by short-circuiting your emotional state, giving you a high and a low and a high and a low and a high and a low over and over, so that you are completely broken and suggestionable. This is hypnosis. Hypnosis does that, or those pickup artists, they do that. It's on purpose. Okay, then after they have thrown people back into that dark pit of bleakness and already turned the individuals that are reading this email into we and us, right? Because they're not telling you things as an individual anymore. Because as an individual, you could read that and say, no, I'm fine. I'm not in a bleak dungeon. Everything's fine. You know, I have orange juice here to drink and my son is playing in the backyard. I'm cool. I have a job. I'm fine. Okay? But no, they turned you, the individual, into we and us with these sentences. And then these us people, right, this group is sitting in the pits of hell where it's dark and bleak, and you're with them. And you're with them because now your empathy has been captured. And you don't want people to be sad and miserable, sitting in a dark dungeon. You want them to be glad and happy, and you want things to at least be normal, right? which they were before you were captured by this magic spell. Okay. Then, after they threw you back into that dark dungeon, then they asked, how can a new politics reorientate us, galvanize us, and energize us in the search for a good society? Think about that. They made you crazy with their short-circuiting and convincing you that everything is horrible, and now they are selling you politics. They are selling you an ideology. They want you to support them. Actors and playwrights and journalists and content providers for your mind. This is all they do. You are having a nice life, laid back or dynamic, whichever you prefer. And then they tell you everything is bad, everything is horrible. You are with us now, sitting in a bleak dungeon, but we have the solution. The hope you read at the beginning of the email is us. We will go there and fight for you to get us all out of this horrible dungeon you weren't sitting in before you opened this stupid email. They want you to support them because individuals are free agents of society. They're free. You're free. Individuals are the life force of this place. Human beings run this shit. Okay, and frogs and cats and dogs, you know what I mean. Living beings are the only things that move and shake about this place. But you can't talk a cat into becoming a part of a political group. You can't have a religious plant. This can only be done to human beings who have brains that run on language and can be tricked into supporting these guys. Artists. Bad artists. Support good artists. Support people who do good art, who write wonderful books or make great movies. Instead of these idiots. They don't know anything. They're bad artists. That's why they are not doing anything good. They're just making people crazy with silly emails and compasses groups or I don't know what else. They are just trying to control people's minds. This is what government means. This word means to govern minds, government. This is what it means. And this is all they do. They install these apps they sell through language into people's brains. Then people run their program in there. And then these people can live off regular, normal, wonderful, hardworking, but extremely gullible people. Which is sad, but this is what's going on. And I'll tell you now how old this idea really is. I'll even put a link in the description about this goddess called Circe. Circe is one of the minor goddesses in ancient Greek mythology. Now, I'm not saying that ancient Greece is a real thing, but let's assume for 5 minutes that it is. These people already figured out this mythological idea of Circe. Circe is an enchantress. This mythological figure is an enchantress. And what she does is she turns people into animals. And then she controls them so that they obey her. What are animals in a mythological context? They are creatures that don't think like humans. They function on instinct. They obey orders. They can be trained. like circus animals. And it is not a coincidence that circus, this word circus, sounds like Circe. It comes from that. It comes from this mythological creature that through magic spells transformed human beings into obedient animals, irrational, obedient beings, doing her bidding for her. This isn't a new idea. This has been going on forever. I also looked up Circe, the name, to see the meaning of this name. I will put this link also there. All the links that are nice and that lead to clarity, I will put in the description. I will keep out all the links that promote bad ideas and untalented hacks that want to put spells on people so that they can live off them. Okay? So just useful links in the description. Okay, so this name, Circe, if you go and look up for baby names, please don't call your baby Circe. Please don't. Please don't. It's so horrible. Anything else. Anything else. Okay, but if you look in these websites of baby names, then they also tell you that Circe means to secure with rings, to hoop around. This refers to the binding power of magic. And also it refers to the circus ring, where you put the animals in that you trained, and then you have that ringmaster. This is why it's called the ringmaster, because the ringmaster then controls all the action that is inside that ring, the circus ring. This is what these people are doing with their emails and their lectures and their ideologies and compass groups, and telling you everything is horrible and that the solution is to support their traveling circus so they can continue to perform this bad play, a mockery of reality, which it isn't, but it is sold as reality. And the whole purpose is make people emotionally unstable, craving hope, craving something to get them out of that emotional state, that bad emotional state that they were put into by these ideologies, and then forever selling them hope in small installments, never getting to a solution because there is no problem, but selling them this idea that the solution is near. Jesus will come. And so they just continue to pay and support these people, all the while losing their minds and being miserable, feeling miserable their whole lives about a thing that isn't real. Everything's fine. There is no bleak age. Nothing is going on except for these stories, these scripts, these programs that are installed into people's minds and then run on people and make people crazy and act like lunatics and give up their sovereignty. Okay. And for you to see that this is perpetual, that they want to grab people and then run a perpetual program, here is this sentence that makes this clear. How can a new politics reorientate us, galvanize us, and energize us in the search for a good society, which by definition is a society which knows it's not yet good enough? By definition, they say, a good society is a society which knows it's not yet good enough. Can you see the trick? It will never be good enough. Because if anyone says to you that society is now good enough, then the racket is over and they will have to work. They don't want to work. They will have to build houses or raise poultry or I don't know, plant trees or whatever. They will have to get a job, a real job, and they don't want that. So society will never be good enough. They're telling you to your face, and this is the way they get away with it in their consciousness, because they aren't lying. They are just using complicated linguistic tricks. These linguistic tricks are all aimed at the individual, because this is all there is. Individual, free, sovereign human beings who get tricked into collectives. All these collectivist ideas are about people who don't want to work, that want to get easy money for bad art performances. They will tell you that you are lost as an individual, that you're tiny, that you're not important. But this is all there is, and they know it. They will sell you groups as the answer to not feeling lonely or to feeling vulnerable. But I want to remind you that you are already part of a group, a huge group called humanity. Now, there's a we and an us that makes sense. All of us, humanity, all human beings, everyone, every single human being that is living in this crazy place people like to call Earth is part of this group. And you will never be outside of this group. All this us versus them mentality, all this splitting up into tiny groups, making these people good and those people bad, right? This is nonsense. I know, I know I say these people, these bad actors, but listen, I have nothing against these people. They are human beings. And I always point out that they are regular, normal human beings, exactly like you or I, and that they are not authorities, because they can't be. We are all sovereign beings. Human beings don't need others to go meddling about their lives. They can sort themselves out beautifully. Okay. So all these splitting up humanity into groups to fight each other is akin to creating an autoimmune disorder, because we're all human beings, right? There's no need for any of us to fight anyone else. Ideologically, of course, if someone is coming at you with a hatchet, then you will have to defend yourself. Okay, but I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about these non-existent problems they come up with, like bleak ages and lack of hope. Which, by the way, I just don't... This is ridiculous, but I will tell you either way. You know where the word hope comes from? It comes from hopping. Really, it comes from hopping. Originally, it comes from the German verb hüpfen, which is hopping, like bunnies hopping. And you know why? Because when children get all excited about something that they will get right now, they hop around. You know, they hop in anticipation of getting something. Or a dog. If you say to him, here's a treat or here's your ball, then the dog hops around, right? Nervously. This is where the word hope comes from. So these actors and writers, they know that they can make you excited in anticipation of something good. And then they harvest this energy that they created inside of you by the means of trickery, of linguistic trickery that short-circuited your emotional state, made you sad, then they put in the bait, you get all hoppy inside, you know, all happy and hoppy, and you want that. And then you have this energy that they harvest in the form of money. And then they live off you, like Circe. Like Circe. They turn you into a mindless follower. And I'm sorry, this is what they do. So don't follow them. Don't give up your sovereignty. Don't give up your humanity. Stay a smart, intelligent, wonderful human as you already are. Okay. So now I will just read the last tiny bit of this email, and I will probably shock you a little bit. So after an interval, so this is the email, right? After an interval, activism as art will be presented. A new lecture presentation created by some guy, not important, exploring what art making and political action have in common, and how we can reimagine ourselves as actors in a world in crisis. Again, you can see that they tell you the world is in crisis. Then they say that a lecture will be presented that is called Activism as Art. And this lecture will explore what art making and political action have in common. I will tell you what art making and political action have in common. Propaganda. This is the definition of propaganda. When you take art and turn it into a tool for political action. And if you are not shocked enough, I will tell you what kind of people liked to use art as a tool for political purposes and were also enthusiastic proponents of activism. People like Hitler. Okay. Again, disclaimer, tiny disclaimer. I'm not saying that Hitler is even a real character, but we will go by history as it is presented to us, okay? And I will read two quotes from Hitler that I got from a book called The Ominous Parallels by some guy named Leonard Peikoff. Also a strange name. I won't go into that. Here are the quotes from Hitler on activism. The know-it-alls, states Hitler, are the enemies of action. Men misuse their intelligence. It is not the seat of a special dignity of mankind, but merely an instrument in the struggle for life. Man is here to act. Only as a being in action does he fulfill his natural vocation. Contemplative natures, retrospective like all intellectuals, are dead persons who miss the meaning of life. Okay, this was Hitler saying that intelligence is not good for you. It's not good. These people that are intelligent and think about stuff, right, like a human being, they are wasting their lives. The real deal is activism, is being active and doing stuff all the time. You know what kind of being does irrational actions all the time or instinctual actions all the time? Animals. Animals do that. They are lovely, but they are not intellectual. Maybe the cat. An intellectual cat. No, I'm being silly. Okay. Still from this book, on page 57, the author of the book, this Leonard Peikoff person, writes this: the voluntarist worship of mindless action may be designated by the term activism. Activism is the form of irrationalism which extols direct physical action based on will or instinct or faith, while repudiating the intellect and its products, such as abstractions, theory, programs, philosophy, or logic. So activism is not necessarily a good thing. If anyone wants to engage in activism, I think it is important to know where it comes from, who the supporters of these kinds of movements originally were. And if one is to take up some cause, all actions are better to be taken under sovereignty, as a free agent, a free individual, and not as part of a group put under some other person's authority. If any action is to be performed, it has to be performed with a clear mind, because all the consequences of actions inevitably fall on the individual that is performing the action. Okay. I hope I was successful in showing you how easy it is to gather free individuals, free sovereign individuals, into a group and make them into a collective that then supports traveling circus. The trick is very simple. It is always telling you that there is some problem going on, horrible thing, and that you have to join, whoever it is, the traveling circus company, so that you can fight this horrible thing that they just created out of thin air. And to help you with this, I will tell you a quote from a book called The Art of War. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. I know, maybe it's lame, but it's true. It's true. You will win battles more easily if you know when to fight and when not to fight. Sometimes, maybe, you'll need to fight something, but more often than not, you won't. Either because it's not your problem, and most of the times because there is no problem to be fought against. And fighting other human beings that are in your large group, right, of us and we, all of us, is just bonkers. Leave people alone. People are fine. Most people are great. Even these bad actors and writers, I mean, what shall they do? They don't want to work, they're lazy, and they need money. And people are gullible. So they do their little trick, they do their bad theater, bad lectures, bad monologue, bad books, bad stories. You know, they tell those bad stories. And some people buy into them and give them money, right? Someday, I hope, and there's that hopping thing again, at least part of the people out there will realize that they don't need to pay for traveling circuses, and then they will have more money and more free time. And they will feel better and won't have to buy Prozac which is another racket. Okay. Anyway, so to end this on a good note, here's the truth of the matter. You're all wonderful, sovereign human beings. There is no enemy. Only deluded or clever human beings trying to get you to give them your time and money for nothing. Ringmasters trying to get you to be an actor on their circus performance. And they even admit it. Because in the last sentence that talked about exploring what art making and political action have in common, propaganda, they end the email like this: how we can reimagine ourselves as actors in a world of crisis. So they tell you to your face that you will be an actor in their little play called A World in Crisis. This is the name of their show. Right? The world is in crisis. Oh my God. It's all bleak and horrible. No fireworks. And now give me money so that we can fight them together. This bleakness. Okay. So instead, I'll give you a suggestion. Instead of participating in that play, A World in Crisis, which doesn't sound fun. I'm sorry. It doesn't sound very much fun, right? Sitting in lectures of people telling you how horrible everything is, and then asking for money to fix non-problems, non-existent problems. They want to fix their own problem. Okay. So what to do in regards to these people that are selling you tales of doom, this play called A World in Crisis, where they want you to be an actor and help with their propaganda so they can live off other gullible people? What to do? So my suggestion is, as always, ignore them. Walk away. You don't need to be part of this traveling circus. Defend your mind against these surreptitious attempts at mind control or governing of your mind, government. Protect your inherent sovereignty by not participating in any collectivizing nonsense. Don't fight these people or any others. They are all in the big group called humanity. Just leave them to their own thing. They will write their plays. They will proclaim their monologues and sell books. Doesn't matter to you. Just leave them be. They have a right to do that, and you have a right to ignore them. You don't need to fight anything. Everything's fine. The world is fine. There's no bleak age. We have fireworks and sun and dogs and cats and parakeets and lovely beings like you, my 3 or 4 listeners, and the lovely cat. Everything's fine. The world is great. Life is wonderful, and so are you. Thank you for listening. See you next time.